What's going on? Welcome to My Take Is. Thank you for clicking on the video. Do me a favor, click the subscribe button as well. We got a lot of great football stuff going on the channel right now, both college and NFL, so make sure you subscribe. Speaking of the NFL, Week 15 just loaded with great games. And I'm going to get to all the great games, but I have to start with the return of Phillip Rivers. This is the most excited I have been to watch the Indianapolis Colts play football all year. Even if you thought that Daniel Jones was going to be good and you thought that the Colts were going to be good, you can't tell me you were more interested in the Daniel Jones-led Colts than you are right now in the Phillip Rivers-led Colts, a guy who hasn't played football in 5 years. And I'm so excited for it. Like, even if you thought that Daniel Jones was going to come to Indianapolis and be good, even if you thought that was going to happen, I'm sure that he still exceeded your expectations. With that being said, I also think there's going to be some people out there who say that they didn't, but I'm pretty sure that everyone had a little small thing in the back of their head concerned about a Daniel Jones regression. In the final month of Daniel Jones playing football when he was healthy, we were seeing that regression happen. Okay? Everything that he did early in the season felt like a result of everything around him. The offensive line was playing at an incredible level. Jonathan Taylor was an MVP candidate halfway through the year. Tyler Warren immediately made an impact. The receivers in Indianapolis are good. And Shane Steichen I think he's a good offensive coach. And as things around him slowly deteriorated, so did Daniel Jones. And it wasn't that surprising. But we did get a glimpse of the Indianapolis Colts in this roster when they have competent quarterback play, something they haven't had since Phillip Rivers 5 years ago. And so it does suck that Daniel Jones tore his Achilles and that he's out for the year. Now the Colts have a huge decision to make as to whether or not to bring him back. But I'm not concerned about that right now because Uncle Phil is back. This is the most interesting thing. This is the most interesting that the Colts have been all year. Because even when they were good, they weren't interesting. Like they were just good. Like you knew what they were gonna do, right? Daniel Jones was gonna come out. They were gonna establish that they could throw the football early, and then they were gonna hammer you late with Jonathan Taylor. And you knew they were gonna be incredibly efficient. That is who they were. They're way more interesting now. Are they better? Probably not. They're 14-point underdogs on Sunday. But, again, we have seen this Colts roster with a good quarterback. And when you have a quarterback who can come in and just be efficient and throw the football on time and on target and know the offense and have an idea of what the defense is going to do before the snap, then this Colts team can score points and they're going to be in games. And that opening drive for the Colts on Sunday in Seattle, that is going to be the most interesting drive of the entire NFL regular season. Because we are going to find out very quickly whether or not Phillip Rivers can still play at an NFL level. I have no question about mentally if he can do it. He's been coaching high school football. Apparently, he's been running the same offense with his high school football team as Shane Steichen runs. That's why they went with him over a guy like Cam Newton, who has no familiarity with the system at all. Obviously, Phillip Rivers played for Shane Steichen when Shane Steichen was coaching the Chargers as well, so there's some rapport there on top of that. So they went with him because he understands the system. So mentally, I'm not worried about Phillip Rivers. The question is going to be the arm strength. The mobility doesn't matter. He was never running away from people anyway. The question is, can he drive the football into small windows? When Alec Pierce wins on the outside and he has a step, can Phillip throw it far enough for Alec Pierce to be able to run under it? If he can do those two things, then the Colts are going to have a chance to make the playoffs. If not, then they're going to go 8-9 and finish the year with a 7-game losing streak, and there's a decent chance that Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard get run out of town. And Phillip Rivers has to be good because this Colts defense, especially with all the injuries that have piled up, it's not good enough to win games in spite of the offense struggling. Like the Seahawks can go beat a team 13-10 because their defense is stout. The Colts have to score at least 20-plus points to beat anybody, especially when you look at the rest of their schedule. Seattle, who can score, Jacksonville, Houston, and San Francisco. I got to tell you right now, I don't think there's a chance that this team is scoring 20 points against this Seahawks defense with a quarterback that hasn't played in 5 years. If Daniel Jones was out there, I would say the same thing. No chance they're scoring 20 against this Seattle Seahawks defense on the road. And I do feel bad for Phillip Rivers from the standpoint of, if I hadn't played football in 5 years, I think the Seattle Seahawks defense is the last one that I would want to see right now. A lot of weird looks. They're very multiple. They'll blitz, they'll bring guys to the line, and then they'll fall out, and so on. So Phillip Rivers, it is an excellent test early to figure out whether or not he's still got it. I don't know if he does. I don't think that he does. So I kind of expect for the Seahawks to completely dominate this game. Colts fans, don't expect to win this game, but you are going to learn quickly whether or not the Colts have a chance to make the playoffs with Phillip Rivers at quarterback. It's going to take you about a drive and a half to know, because maybe the first one's rusty. That second one, though, if it doesn't look good, then 8-9, here you come again, because that's who the Colts have been really under Chris Ballard. 9-8, 8-9. That's just who they've been. So can't wait to watch Phillip Rivers play football on Sunday. I can't make it the only game on my screen, though, because the Bills do play the Patriots. And if the NFL had a college football playoff selection committee, like the same kind of idea in terms of you had like an NFL playoff committee who picked the teams that got in, I don't think that the Patriots would be the 1 seed in the AFC. And right now, all the Patriot fans are yelling at me because they've won 10 in a row. And I'm just going to tell you right now, you sound like Notre Dame fans, and I don't really want to hear it. Your best win in that stretch is Buffalo on the road. And despite that, the Buffalo Bills are still 1.5-point favorites on Sunday. And I don't understand how that can be the case. I don't think that the Patriots are good enough to win the Super Bowl. I do think that the Patriots are benefiting quite a bit from a soft schedule. But they're at least a complete football team. The Buffalo Bills are not a complete football team. Their best defensive lineman is hurt, and ever since Ed Oliver tore his bicep, this Bills defense has fallen off of a cliff. They can't rush the passer. They don't have Ed Oliver in the middle helping to kind of stuff the run. They're giving up 5.1 yards per carry. That's the third worst mark in the NFL. The secondary isn't good. Okay, Tre'Davious White, excellent corner for them for like 7 years. But then he got old, and they let him leave. And he was gone for 2 years. And in those 2 years, he appeared in 11 games for the Rams and the Ravens. And then the Bills got so desperate at corner that they brought him back. And Jordan Poyer, who plays safety for him, has a very similar story. They let him leave. He goes to the Dolphins. It doesn't really work out there. Bills get desperate for a safety, and then they bring him back. They're not good defensively, but they have an offense that keeps them in games. Josh Allen, obviously a stud. He gives them a chance in every game. James Cook is having another good year running back, but they're not very good at wide receiver. And because of that, this Patriots team is just a really tough matchup for them. Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez are one of, if not the best cornerback duo in the NFL. And when you have two corners who you can just say, hey guys, go play man-to-man, and you don't have to worry about it at all, that is just such an advantage for your defense. You can commit more players to stopping the run because you don't have to worry about doubling guys or bracketing or doing anything like that. And then you throw in the fact that the Bills don't have a single wide receiver who scares you. Makes it even less of a worry if you're New England. The Patriots haven't given up more than 23 points in a game since week 2 when they gave up 27 to the Miami Dolphins. This is an elite defense that is well coached. Throw in the fact that Drake May is having an MVP caliber season. And you mix all that together, and you get a team that's better than the Bills. I didn't even mention the fact that the Patriots have the best wide receiver in this game, who, coincidentally, used to play for the Bills. It's Stephon Diggs. The Bills are favored for one reason and one reason only, and his name is Josh Allen. The Patriots have a better defense. They have the best wide receiver in this game. They have a better secondary. They do a better job at the line of scrimmage. right? Is their offensive line a top 10 unit? Probably not, but they still find ways to throw the football. They're 7th in the NFL in yards per play because they're able to connect on deep plays down the field. They don't run the ball great, but that's not really a concern when you play Buffalo because they're so poor at defending the run. The Patriots are simply the more complete team, and that is why they're going to beat the Bills on Sunday and lock up the AFC East. So, NFL fans, look at us. Moving off the Chiefs just to go right back to the Patriots winning the AFC. Just, what is this? Speaking of winning the NFC, a lot of people picked the Ravens to win the NFC before the season started. And the Ravens need to pick up the phone. They need to call the Chiefs and just say thank you. Say, hey, Kansas City, we just really appreciate you guys being bad this year because we're also bad. And if it wasn't for y'all, then we would be at the center of all of these, conversations on these different sports podcasts and TV shows and things. John Harbaugh's job security would be in question on every sports talk program every single day. Lamar Jackson would be getting ripped more than he already is for that hideous performance against the Steelers last week. They're also 6-7 like the Kansas City Chiefs with an incredibly slim chance of making the playoffs. And they had an opportunity to take control of their division at home. Just beat a Pittsburgh team that everybody agrees isn't very good. Okay? But Lamar Jackson played a bad game. And I love Lamar Jackson. He's one of my favorite players to watch. He is incredibly talented. But this is the story of his career so far. When he plays in big games, he just doesn't play very well. We've seen it time and time again in the playoffs, and then a big regular season game comes up at home, division opponent, and he has another bad game. He has to be better than he has been. And they've had a lot of injuries and all those things, and that matters, but everyone has a bunch of injuries. Okay, the Bills' defense is terrible, but they're 9-4 because they have Josh Allen. And Lamar Jackson is that level of player, but for whatever reason this year, whether it's because he's not using his legs as much as he used to, maybe it is because of the injuries, I don't know. But for some reason, he hasn't been able to carry his team to the same level of success. I know he's missed some games as well, but whenever he plays, he just doesn't quite look the same. And now, sitting at 6-7, they have to go on the road to Cincinnati, who's playing really well ever since Joe Burrow came back. This is a team that beat them 32-14 on Thanksgiving night a couple of weeks ago. Now, the Ravens have to go there and try to beat them. Oh, and then after that, they still have to play the Patriots, Packers, and the Steelers again. This is a must-win game for them. Because if they lose this one, they fall to 6-8. And you need 10 wins if you're going to make the playoffs this year in the AFC. They need to win out. And, it's a tall order. Between Cincy, New England, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh again, it's a really, really tough draw for them to close the year, but they have to win this one if they want to have a chance to get back to the playoffs. For the Bengals, just go win so that Joe Burrow enjoys playing in football again. I don't know if you saw the press conference, but Joe Burrow was, he wasn't acting sad, but he was just kind of talking in a very sad manner of, why would I keep playing football if I don't enjoy it anymore? And now people are concerned that he's going to pull an Andrew Luck. I don't think he's going to do that. But would he request a trade out of Cincinnati? He should, because that ownership group is terrible. I think every Bengals fan knows that. So if you don't want him to request a trade, if you want him to be happy in Cincinnati, go win, Joe Burrow. Go win. Chargers, Chiefs. Chiefs fans not happy. Kansas City Chiefs not happy. Their season it's on the line again. Okay, so they need to win out to get to 10 wins on the year. They also need quite a bit of help to make the playoffs, right? But as of right now, it's not really out of the question that they could. But again, they have to win out, which means that they have to beat the Chargers at home on Sunday. If they were to fall to 6-8 on the year, then they'd be done. They'd be done. So that means that there's going to be a lot of Charger fans across the country on Sunday, and I think this game is going to be incredibly close. The Chiefs are favored by 5.5. But I think the game will be close because the Chiefs have played close games all year. Like, that's just what they do. Okay, the question is going to be the same question that we ask about them, or that I have asked about them every single week. Can they make the big plays late? That has been the thing that has defined their dynasty. Every time Patrick Mahomes needs to convert 3rd and 8 in the fourth quarter with a minute and 45 seconds to go and they're down by 5 and they need a touchdown to win, he converts it every time. And then they get into the red zone and he finds Travis Kelce and he hits him for the game-winning touchdown. And then they go for 2 and they get that as well so that they're up by 3. That is what they have done time and time again to sustain the success that they have had. Except for this year. Just go back to last week. Travis Kelce drops a very important pass. And it's not why they lost, but it had a pretty big impact on it. And, 3 years ago, he wouldn't have dropped it. He'd have caught it, turned upfield, picked up a first down, and we'd be like, oh, yeah, of course he did, because he plays for the Chiefs, and he's Travis Kelce. And that's just what they do. And they haven't done that this year. And even though they haven't done it at all this year, I sit here in this chair on a beautiful Thursday night. There's part of me that just kind of expects them to turn it on, win these last 4 games, and make the playoffs. I've said it multiple times on this channel. I am not writing the Chiefs off until they've been dead and buried for 4 days. All right, they're dead. They've been buried for about 3 days now. If they lose on Sunday, that'll be day 4, and then I'll finally be willing to write off the Chiefs. Okay, so they just have to make the big plays late. And would it really surprise you if Travis Kelce made 2 huge plays that led to a Chiefs win on Sunday? Or if Chris Jones had a big sack late in the game to kind of put the game on ice? Because that's what this dynasty has been defined by. Patrick Mahomes making big plays, Travis Kelce being the target of a lot of those big plays, and Chris Jones coming up with a big sack or a tackle for loss late. That's really what it feels like this Chiefs dynasty is boiled down to. And Patrick Mahomes has held up his end of the bargain. It's these other 2 guys that have gotten a little older. Chris Jones is on the back end of his prime. Travis Kelce probably needs to retire at the end of the year. Okay? If he doesn't retire, can't wait to hear what kind of shape he's in at the start of next year. Probably be in the best shape of his life again. So that'd be cool, I guess. But we just haven't seen those guys make the big play like we're used to seeing them do. The Chargers, on the other hand, have done that all year. Justin Herbert's making plays with a fractured left hand. Their defense seems to intercept every catchable pass. What they've done this year, in spite of all of these injuries that have piled up, both offensive tackles going out, multiple injuries along the defensive line in the front 7, and it just speaks to what a Jim Harbaugh football team is, and that is an incredibly tough team that just plays hard. And they stay committed to the run even when they're averaging 2.5 yards a carry. And they play good defense, and they tackle well, and everybody's always in the right spot. I think this is the team that ends the Chiefs season. I don't care that the Chiefs are favored by 5.5. They have been overvalued in Vegas all year. And for whatever reason, the Chiefs just don't seem to have the ability to close games or finish comebacks like they have for the last 10 years. Or 8 years, however long, Mahomes has been their quarterback. So I have to take the Chargers because they've just been better at finishing games this year than the Kansas City Chiefs have. The best game of the day on Sunday, it's not Chargers-Chiefs, it's not Bengals-Ravens, it is not Bills-Patriots, it's not Colts-Seahawks, it's Packers-Broncos. This game is a potential Super Bowl matchup. These are 2 of the best defenses in the NFL. These are 2 of the best coach teams in the NFL. These are 2 of the best teams in the NFL, period. And I can't wait to watch Toyotathon Jordan Love against this Denver Broncos defense. That's going to be a blast. I think we're going to get a pretty normal Bo Nix experience where it's rough in the first half, and then all of a sudden in the second half, he looks amazing. I think that the chess match between Jeff Hafley and Sean Payton it's going to be so much fun to watch. And I'm taking the Packers to win this game simply because I like Jordan Love more than Bo Nix. But I don't feel good about it because I think Bo Nix is good enough like make the plays in order for the Broncos to win. Like that's what he's done. That's why they've also won 10 games in a row this year, right? Or they're on a 10-game winning streak right now. Jordan Love is obviously very capable of making the plays needed to win the game. I think both guys are also capable of throwing a dumb pick that leads to their team losing the game. But the differentiator for me between the Packers and the Broncos, I like the weapons for the Packers a bit more than I like the weapons for the Broncos. And I think that'll be the difference in the game. It also feels like the Packers have kind of turned a corner a little bit. You know, like they were playing decently well to start the season, still underachieving a little bit, and then Tucker Kraft gets hurt, and then it's like became really concerning. But like the last 3 weeks, they scored 27 points or more in their last 3 games. I don't think they're going to score that many points against Denver, but they just look a little cleaner offensively. They're starting to run the football a little bit better. Jordan Love continues to do a really good job of just not turning the ball over. So if the offense continues to look this smooth, and it probably won't because they're about to play Denver, and this defense continues to just smother people, this Packers team's good enough to make a run to the Super Bowl. I don't think they're as good as Seattle or LA, but I do think that they're good enough to beat anybody on any given week. So is Denver. I think this game's going to be awesome. I'm going to take the Packers, even though I don't really like it. And then we have an amazing Sunday night football game to cap off Sunday. The Lions are going to play the Rams on the road, and despite being 8-5, the Lions are on the outside looking into the playoffs. 10 wins doesn't guarantee you a playoff spot in the NFC. We saw this last year. The Seahawks went 10-7, and they didn't make the playoffs. And that's what seems like that's going to happen again this year. The Bears are the 7th seed, and they're 9-4, which is absurd. Okay? The Lions also just aren't as good this year as they were last year. The offense is still good, just not quite as explosive because you don't have Ben Johnson calling plays. They're dealing with a ton of injuries again on defense, but the culture and the talent has allowed for them to continue to be good. And they're going to continue to be good because of Dan Campbell and because of just this consistent culture that they have. But if they want to have a chance to win a Super Bowl again, they have to go get better coordinators, or they have to develop their coordinators, which may happen. Dan Campbell taught Ben Johnson how to call plays, right? So maybe he can develop those guys, okay? But right now, the difference I think between them this year and last year is the coordinators, because last year they had a ton of injuries, but it didn't matter because their defensive coordinator last year, now the head coach of the Jets, Aaron Glenn. I had to close my eyes so I could remember his name. And he just figured it out. And they were awesome, and they were fast, and they were physical. And they called me to see if I could come play corner. And I was like, guys, I'm a 5'8" white guy that's like a little overweight. I don't know about that. And they're like, we need anybody. We'll take anybody to play corner right now. And because Aaron Glenn was an excellent defensive coordinator, like they found ways to get stops and to force turnovers, and it just feels like they're not doing that this year, and maybe that's a player thing. Maybe it's a coordinator thing. I think it's more of a coordinator thing because they've brought a lot of those same guys back, and that really kind of feels like the difference between last year and this year. They're just not as good at those coordinator spots, and so that's going to have to be something to be addressed in the offseason. With that being said, this is still a team definitely talented enough. They definitely have a roster good enough to make the playoffs, but I just think it's tough when you don't have good coordinators. And you have to play the Rams this week, and you're probably going to fall to 8-6 because of that. They're just, the Rams are just rolling. I know that they lost to the Panthers, but the Panthers aren't bad. Matthew Stafford finally had a game where he turned the football over, right? He's not going to have very many 3-turnover games. I just don't expect for Matthew Stafford to really do that. Okay, the Rams are one of the 3 best teams in the NFC. It's them, Seattle, or Green Bay. It's probably them or Seattle, but I really like Green Bay probably more than a lot of other people do. They're loaded. The Rams are with talent on both sides of the football. And as talented as the Lions are, I think that the Rams actually have more talent. That right there alone should just tell you how good this Rams roster is. And it kind of feels like an old school football game on Sunday night. From a perspective of neither quarterback can really move, And so we're going to get to see Aiden Hutchinson and Jared Verse and the rest of the really good pass rushers in this game just pin their ears back and go, which is always really fun to watch. And I think whichever offensive line holds up better is going to win. And because of that, I'm going to take the Rams. They're also at home, and I think they win. I think the Lions fall to 8-6, and they're fighting for their playoff lives the rest of the way. So, again, just a loaded slate on Sunday. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe. A lot more football stuff. The NBA Cup's going on. I'm going to have some stuff out on that on Saturday nights. So make sure that you're subscribed. You're watching all the videos. I greatly appreciate the support as I continue to try to build this channel, and I'll talk to you again soon.